Hello everyone, I'm Corey, and this is a special edition of Talkin' Manpower. Today, I've got an extremely special guest. I've got Mr. Roy Wallace. He's the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff G1 and the Functional Chief of the Career Program 26, and he's also a distinguished member of the Senior Executive Service. Mr. Wallace, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Corey.
So, could you explain to me a little bit what your role is as the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff G1?
As the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff for G1, my job is to keep the personnel piece of the Army, the HR piece, rolling, both military and civilian, to make sure that we're recruiting the right kind of people, we're retaining the right kind of people, and that we are promoting and moving up those individuals that have proven potential for greater service.
So let's focus on that civilian side a little bit. I understand that you serve as the CP26 Functional Chief and the Functional Chief Representative, and what are you responsible for in these dual roles?
As the CP26 Functional Chief, the way I look at that is it's my job to build the best manpower people in the world, to give them the tools that they need to help the commanders out there across the United States Army make intelligent manpower calls as they navigate some pretty icy waters on the budget and so on and so forth, to make sure that we've optimized all of our manpower across the United States Army.
So why are manpower and force managers so critical to the Army?
Without, if you look at the Army is, well, if you look at the Air Force is planes, the Navy's ships, the Army is people. So if you take your eye off the people inside the United States Army, you're taking your eye off our most important asset. So as manpower analysts out there, like I said, it's our job to make sure that we're utilizing those people, that we have the right skills, that we have the right seniority in each one of our positions out there, and that's what the CP26 people do every day, is to build the tables of distribution and allowance and the TO&Es that are on the operational side of the Army. So getting those right, if you get the squad wrong, people die. So you have to make sure that you've got the right set of talents in there at the right grades with the right experiences, and that's basically what we do.
So I know that CP26 does a lot of different outreach programs, but I know that one that you're very heavily involved in is the CP26 Intern Orientation. So why is it important for you to go down and speak with them during that event?
It is critical that you bring people on and that you provide them with the appropriate outlook on, and because they're nervous as they come into, it's new for most of them. So you need to give them some assurance. You also need to kind of give them the rules of the game, because this is like the country club. There are certain rules that you don't violate, and there are certain things that can take you on a path to success. So when I go in to talk to those folks, I try and talk to them from that perspective, to make sure that they understand, number one, it's a two-way street. That when they look in the mirror every day, they're looking at their own career program manager. No one's going to do that for them. We will give them opportunities, but it's still their job on that two-way street to walk through the door. If we open the door, it's still their job to walk through it. So it's definitely team ball, and I try and relay that to them. I try and get them to understand that it is actually their career, and that it's okay, once they've set their goals and objectives, to go after those. If not, it's okay to stay where you are too.
So you just talked about going through that door and walking through that in terms of developing your own career. So how can someone who's just coming into the career field be successful? What does it take?
First, it takes drive on their own part. Again, that's that two-way street. We will get them the tools that they need. We've also gone out and we've put career paths, notional career paths out there. Some of them are from actual individuals that have rose up to the higher levels inside the Department of the Army Civilian Corps. And those career paths, we didn't have those before a couple years ago. So you were kind of rolling your own. and you didn't have a model to go after. And what we found over time is that if you provide people with those models, and they don't know what right has looked like in at least one case, then they can set their objectives, they can set their goals.
So in your positions as the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff G1 and the Functional Chief Representative Career Program 26, how can Manpower and Force managers develop their civilian toolkit and have those things that they need to go in their careers and progress?
Well, there's a myriad of things, but again, it's because in the civilian corps, there is free will, so to speak. If you're in the military, you're going up or out. In the civilian corps, you have a choice. So you have to set those goals. Like I said, we're giving them the tools to do that. We also have a myriad of programs out there for professional education, for technical education. In CP26, it's our job to make them the best technical person that we can. But there are other programs, EDM and CEDM, and other programs and L now, that the Department of the Army uses to develop leadership. I don't believe it's the role of the Functional Career Program Manager to develop leaders specifically. We do that as part of our normal daily activity, but that is the role of the civilian leadership office that does those kind of things. So if the person decides that they'd like to be a senior executive service, then it's our job to make sure that we've given them the tools to do that. And we've told them in no unspecific terms what is required of someone at that level, so they can start working on those knowledge, skills, and abilities.
So in your opinion, how will the jobs and the roles of Manpower and Force managers change in the next 5 to 10 years within the Army?
Other than automation maybe making things easier from a technical standpoint, I don't see a lot changing. The human, the soldier, the Department of the Army civilian is still the cornerstone, and always will be the cornerstone of the United States Army until we get into way, way into the future. So dealing with people really hasn't changed. So we need to keep that in mind, and you need to hone those skills for dealing with people. And if you do that, you can be a successful manpower person.
So you touched on this a little earlier, but when we talk about leadership, what's your leadership philosophy?
My leadership philosophy starts with a soldier somewhere, and the ability to make sure that that person, that soldier, is successful, or that civilian, whatever mission that we've sent them on. Leadership is enabling. It enables the individuals that are working in a specific area to get their job done. Providing guidance, providing mentoring. I think a very important part of leadership is mentoring. Being brutally honest with individuals, telling them when they've stepped over the line, or praising them when they've done a great job. It's very simple. Leadership is not something that you're born with, it's something you learn as you're going forward. And it is truly what leaders do is they enable the organization that they lead to get the job done.
Well, Mr. Wallace, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I would say that the career programs that we've established over in the United States Army is probably one of the best things that we've done for civilians over the past 10 years, because what it's done is it's given people roadmaps to success, which enables them to follow whatever their career dreams and goals would be. And I think that that's probably the best thing that CP26 does. We're a leader in the career program field. We're innovators in the program field. We develop professionals that have a broad range of talents and capabilities, and are sought after by all the commanders and directors across the United States Army.
Well, Mr. Wallace, I really appreciate you being here. I know you're very, very busy, but thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, and thank you for everything that you do for CP26.
Thank you, Corey.